What up, guys? Joe White here, and I'm going to be making a, man, I've had a long day. I know I look wrecked. I'm going to be making a video. Sorry, I just got off work. A lot of people go, well, you sit behind a computer desk all day. Well, if you had to deal with the idiots that I have to deal with on a daily fucking basis, you'd look like this too. I'm going to have a video talking about that probably either tomorrow or the next couple of days. I don't know. But today I wanted to do something special. I found this video on the internet, and I know it's not new. I know it's probably been floating around for a while. But I kind of wanted to do a Mystery Science Theater on it. Basically, Nintendo had these people apparently who would represent them in stores, would go to like retail stores and set up stands and they would basically, oh, I love the Roger Rabbit shirt. Anyway, they would go around and set up stands or displays and try to get people to sell Nintendo. Kind of like the people who go to, kind of like the people who are at Sam's Club that hand you free samples. Basically, they would hand out, these same kind of people would go to Nintendo. And basically, if you don't know what this shirt is, this is an awesome shirt I got from Pop-Up Tea. It's Roger Rabbit. It's got Dr. Doom down here. And of course Jessica Rabbit, and it says the man who framed me, pretty much, and it's awesome. But anyway, so Nintendo did this, and they actually gave out promotional VHSs that showed you how to sell their product. And I'm going to be playing this VHS now. It's about an hour long. Bear with it. I'm going to be doing some voiceover over it to kind of Mystery Science Theater the thing, because if we only knew then what we know now, right? So enough of my ugly mug. Let's get to it right here. Let me see if I can see what the name of the video is. It's called Power of Choice Nintendo Demonstration Program. This is from 1991. I believe it's November of 1991. So let's get to it, and you got the power. Nintendo Power. They mention Nintendo Power a lot, and I kind of miss that magazine, but here we go. You got the power.
Welcome to Team Power and the Power of Choice. You and your store
Hey, let's start off with this woman here. Good God. Look at those pants. Are they bloomers? What is this, Shakespeare?
Nintendo.
And she has a
Nintendo is
mullet.
committed to passing on the
Good
fun
Lord.
and
And a
excitement
perm
of
mullet.
video
Look
games
at
to
this
each of our
stuff. Look at this
customers.
stuff right here.
And you've been
Got a bunch
selected
of
this
retro
holiday
games.
season
Golly,
to
I
help
miss those
each of those
days.
customers understand the excitement of each of our games. I'm Shelley Saunders, training supervisor at Nintendo's Consumer Service, and I'll
And
be
I have
your
never
guide
played
as
a
you go through
Nintendo
this
system
training
a day in
program.
my life.
As a Nintendo product demonstrator, we have 4 tasks we'd like you to meet. The first is to help our consumers make an informed choice about which Nintendo product and accessory is right for them. Your second task as a product demonstrator is to impart the strength and commitment Nintendo has to its 3
Yeah,
systems.
if only could be
Your
said today
third
about the
task
Wii
is
U.
to help the consumer experience
Oh, and let the
fun
customers
and
experience the
excitement of each
fun.
of our video
Ooh,
game
the
systems
fun.
through the use of
Sad part
hands-on
is the
displays.
Super Nintendo had
And your
just
fourth
come out
task
right
as a
here.
Nintendo product demonstrator is to answer any questions the consumer may raise about our competitive programs.
Yeah, how do you beat
In order to
World
help you
3,
meet
4
your
of
task,
Super Mario?
we've divided the training into 3 sections. In the first section, we'll show you how to set up your Mario stand-up display. We'll show you all the
Cardboard
different
Mario,
resources
check.
that you have to use while helping the customer. We'll also cover Nintendo's complete product line. Its 3
I gotta
systems
say,
and
when
all
she
the
starts going over these
accessories,
products, I
features,
kind of get a
and
tear in
benefits
my
of
eye
each
here
one of
coming
those.
up.
In the second section of the training, we'll be covering things like common questions a consumer may raise, how to answer those difficult competitive questions, things
We'll
like our
teach you how to
world-class
bash
service and
Sega to
support that
no
Nintendo
end.
maintains for each of its products. In the third section of training, we'll cover the daily routine tasks that you need to be aware of, how to fill out the proper paperwork in order to get paid, how to fill out an evaluation and send us back how
Paperwork.
successful you've been as a
Paperwork.
product demonstrator.
I guarantee you the person who
Just
did
like
this job did
everything
not
at
worry about
Nintendo,
paperwork.
we want this
They were worried
training to
about
be
sitting
fun.
around playing
In
video
order
games
to
all
assist
day.
you with the gameplay of the training, we've designed a contest just for you.
Now listen to this.
At
This is a
3 different
doozy.
times throughout the video, you'll hear this music. When you do, get ready with a pencil and paper. We'll be giving you a pair of numbers at 3 different points in the video for a total
Wait,
of
wait.
6
So I
digits.
actually have to watch this?
At
You
the
mean
end
my
of this
job isn't
training,
to
we'll
just
show
sit
you how
around
to
and
fill
play
out the
video games?
evaluation form and put
You
that
also want me to write
6-digit
this
code
down on my
the
paperwork that I'm
evaluation
not going to fill out
form. When you're done with your
and
job
win
duties,
prizes
at the
like a
end of the
Nintendo.
session, we're going to ask you
Chances
to
are,
return
if
the
I have this
binder,
job, I
your
already own
apron,
one.
as well as the evaluation with that 6-digit code. When we receive the information back, we will send you a
Ooh.
Nintendo pen, a Mario
Somebody
pin,
probably still has that somewhere.
and a Super NES
Ooh,
ruler.
a ruler.
For returning your evaluation, the binder, and the apron, along with that 6-digit key code, you'll have your
Wait,
name
you want
entered
your
into
fucking
a raffle
apron
to win
back?
one of 5
You
great
stingy
prizes.
son of bitches.
First prize is the Super
Oh, the top
Nintendo
prize is an
Entertainment
NES.
System.
Super Nintendo.
Second prize is the NES
Oh,
Sports
the
Set.
Nintendo Sports Set.
Third prize is the
Power
NES
Set.
Power Set. Fourth prize
Ooh,
is the
the
NES
most common
Action
one.
Set. Fifth
Oh,
prize will be a
you
Game
fourth
Boy
prize gets a
system.
shitty Game Boy.
Remember, the only way to get your secret 6-digit code is to listen closely to this videotape.
First person
Once
to
again,
email me the
we'd like to
6-digit
welcome
code
you
gets
to
a
the
big
Nintendo
box of
Power
nothing.
Team and the power of choice. We've included a binder with the training that will give you a lot more detailed information to read through after completing this video. In the
Come
back of
on,
the binder,
get to the
you'll find a
games.
certificate of achievement we've created just for you.
In other
Thanks,
words,
and
piece
welcome
of
aboard.
useless paper. ActRaiser, yeah!
Before going any further, let's make sure you have all your supplies. The first thing you
Supplies?
should have found in your box
This
is
is
the
the
stand-up
Nintendo.
Mario
Oh, okay, yeah, we
display.
gotta have the cardboard
It has
Mario
detailed
here.
instructions, and you'll
with
want
the
to
big
take some
guys.
time to set them up
It's
before we
actually
go
kinda
any
cool.
further. Included in the resources, you'll find 1 to 200 of the following brochures.
You know, brochures, Mitch Hedberg
The
once said
Power of
brochures
Choice
are
brochure.
really Nintendo's way
The
of
Super
saying, here, you
Nintendo
throw this
Entertainment
away.
brochure, Game Boy brochures, and the NES brochure. with
Sadly,
Dr.
all
Mario
of
on the
these
front.
are in the trash now.
The most important brochure that you have available to you is the one labeled The Power of Choice.
Can you imagine having to
This
pick these
brochure
things
gives
up
you
off the floor of the
detailed
Toys R
information,
Us at the end of
as
the
well
day?
as answers the most common questions about our 3 systems. On the back, it includes information for our consumer service hotline, our
This
Nintendo
includes
World
crap
Class
that
Service Center referral
nobody's gonna
hotline,
read.
and our Gameplay Counselor hotline. You'll also find about 200 Super Nintendo Entertainment System hookup posters.
Why do I need a
1 to 3
brochure
buttons.
telling me how to hook up the
Attached to
Super
back of the
Nintendo?
Mario stand-up,
Doesn't that
you'll
come
find
with the
3
Super Nintendo if I'm
Power
going to buy the
Player
damn
Guides,
thing?
Mario Mania, NES Game
Now, all these
Atlas, and the
game
Game Boy
manuals
Player's
or
Guide.
cheat code guides were more
In
prominent.
the
The
back
sad
of your
thing is they
binder,
latched
you'll
them onto
find
the back of the
following
cardboard
laminated
display so nobody could
One is
take them from the
two-sided and has the
store
feature comparison chart.
unless you go over to
This
aisle
chart
3 and
gives
get a
you
pair of
detailed
snips and then you
information
come
about
back.
Nintendo's system versus our most common competitive brands.
Oh
At
Lord,
the
here
bottom,
comes
it
the
has
Sega
everything
bashing.
made easy, and you can use this when talking to consumers when they want to know what Mode 7 or 16-bit means.
I can see these people now
On the
reading
other
this
side is
stuff
the
with
comparison
like a
chart
cue
for
card.
all the Nintendo
Hi,
of America
my name is
systems,
Donnie,
the Super Nintendo
and
Entertainment
would
System,
you
the
like
NES,
to know
and the
about
Game Boy.
Nintendo?
You can use this
Sounds
side to
more like
help
a high
consumers
school
determine which
play than
product
a
is best
Nintendo
for them.
salesman.
You'll also find a set of product line sheets. These laminated sheets show you pictures of each of Nintendo's products and accessories. They also explain key features
Gotta love that
and
Mario
benefits.
music.
The last set of laminated sheets are common questions that consumers may ask. Feel free to use this sheet and actually show the consumer the answers available to you. You will also find the following smaller items: 1 small screwdriver,
She doesn't mean
1
the kind with
apron,
vodka, folks.
1 hat, 3 keys that will fit the displays, 1 pre-addressed Federal Express envelope, and 1 set of instructions for the assembly
Oh,
of
you'll
the
be hearing
stand-up
more about
Mario.
those keys later, trust me.
If you are
Oof.
missing any of the items we've talked about,
Then
turn
you're
to the
shit
section
out of luck.
labeled Supplies
Call this
and
number
call
and have them sent to you along with another FedEx envelope, and you have to pay postage.
As a Nintendo product demonstrator, we would like you to be casual yet professional. Make sure you always wear nice slacks or pants and a nice shirt or blouse. You can also wear a sweater. We would like you to
Also
wear
include
the
a rope to
apron
hang
as well as
yourself
the
with,
Super Nintendo
especially if you look
Entertainment
like this
System
lady.
hat.
Oofa. Oh, here
Included
come
with
the
your starter
buttons.
kit are 1 to 3 buttons. Ask me about the Super NES, ask me about the Sports Set, and ask me about F1 Race. Wear
What
the
about
button
F1
on the
Race?
right pocket that most represents the product your store has in stock.
Seriously, I
The
want to
first
know
two
about
numbers for
F1
the
Race.
secret key code are
Never even heard of that game.
03. 03. Now let's move
First
to our
things are the
Mario
key code
stand-up display.
03.
You'll see wires attached
Oh,
to
now here we
three
go. See,
Nintendo
here's where the
player's
back
guides. These
those
three
game
player's
guides were
give you
stored.
detailed
You
information
can
about
see how on the
gameplay.
left they're
And
like
when you have a
bolted
game
or
player who's
corded
stuck in
to
a
the back of the
challenging
display
game,
unit.
make sure you refer
Hello,
to
which
these
aisle are
three
snips
player's
on?
guides.
Aisle 3?
You'll also
I'll
see
be right
included
back.
a stack of Super NES hookup posters. When you have a consumer who's concerned
Again,
about
this
how
was
to do a
included
hookup,
in the Super
you can hand out
Nintendo.
one of these
If I'm going to
posters
buy a
with
Super
detail it for
Nintendo,
them.
I will
At the
already
bottom
have
of your
this.
Mario stand-up
Oh, and
display,
here are your
you'll
useless
find
pamphlets
4 compartments.
the
In
customers
each
are going to throw
compartment, put the
away.
brochures you received with your starter set. You should keep your compartments well stocked. If you need additional supplies, turn to that section of the binder and call the 1-800 number provided. Now let's show you how to put the brochures in your apron. You want to take a few of each type of brochure and put them in the 2 pockets provided. Put the Game Boy and the NES brochures in one of the pockets and the Super Nintendo Entertainment System in the
What if I
Power
wanted to change
Choice
them and put the
brochure
NES
in
one
the
in the
other
left
pocket.
pocket? You're fired. Oh, okay.
You'll also want to make sure that you carry the laminated sheets that were provided in the back of the binder in each one of the pockets. That way they'll be easily accessible when a consumer has a question.
Yay, the games!
Now that we've shown you how to set up your Mario stand-up display, we'd like to cover in detail Nintendo's complete product line. Nintendo is committed to bringing only the highest quality video game technology to the market. Key to that
Until
commitment
we
is bringing
release the
out
Wii
games
U
that come
and,
with our systems.
yeah.
We'd like to start with our first system, the 8-bit Nintendo Entertainment System, also called the NES.
Which I have
We
never
have 4
played in my
different
entire
system
life.
configurations, the first of which is called the Control Deck System. The Control Deck System is designed for expandability. The set includes the control deck,
In other words,
2
there's no
controllers,
additional
the
peripherals
AC
to this
adapter,
thing
and
whatsoever,
everything you
so
need
we
to
make
set
you
it
go
up
out
to
and buy
any
it
standard
yourself.
television set.
In
The
modern
second
days,
NES system
buying all the
available to our
peripherals
consumers
would be
is the
considered
NES Sports Set.
DLC.
The NES
Oh,
Sports
look
Set
here
is
are all
for
the rest of the
sports
systems. We have the
enthusiasts of all
sports
ages.
set. Who
This
even
system
had
holds the
this?
entire
Listen to what this
NES
thing
game
comes with.
library, plus allows from 1 to 4 players to play specifically designed 4-player simultaneous games. The
You
set includes the
and
control
me
deck,
in
4
her
controllers, the
simultaneous
NES
action,
satellite
baby.
with 6 size C batteries,
6
dual
size
game
C
pack
batteries.
including
Golly,
Super
say that
Spike
5
V-Ball
times
and
fast. Oh,
Nintendo
and that
World Cup
satellite
socket,
thing
as
didn't
well
work.
as the AC adapter, audio-video cables, and RF switch for hookup. The third NES system available is the Action Set. The Action Set was designed for those children who'd like to play the Zapper light gun. It comes with a control deck, 2
This was a more
controllers,
common one.
the
The
NES
sad part
Zapper
is
light
everybody
gun,
got the gray
and a
gun
dual
when they really
game
wanted
pack
the orange
containing
one.
Duck Hunt
Came
for
with
use
Mario
with the
and
light
Duck
gun,
Hunt.
and Super
Classic
Mario
system.
Brothers.
Very good stuff
It
here.
also includes
Not
the AC
really much
adapter,
negative to
the
say
RF
about it.
switch, and all
The
the
only
components
problem
you need
was
to
is
set
that
up the system.
we really kind of, you know,
The fourth NES system
who bought
is
the
the
control
Power Set.
deck system?
The Power
really?
Set
Who
is the
just
ultimate
settled for
system
that?
for combining
Oh,
fun
the Power
with
Set.
fitness.
Here we go.
This set includes
This
the
one
control
comes
deck,
with everything,
2
including the power
the
pad.
NES
And
Zapper,
I had
and
the
the
power
NES
pad when I
Power
was a
Pack.
kid, but
It
and I
contains
actually
3
liked
game
it.
packs. Duck Hunt
Nothing really
for
too
use
bad
with
to
the
say about
Zapper
it. 3
gun,
in 1. You got the
world-class
Duck Hunt, the
tracking
Mario,
for use
and
with
the
Power Pad,
world-class
and the
track
famous
meet.
game Super Mario Brothers.
But
Nintendo's
Power
most
Pad actually
advanced
was one of
video
the... Well,
game
Lord, here we go.
system
And here's
is
the Super
Nintendo Entertainment System,
Listen to
also
see
known
what
as
she
the
has to say
Super
about
NES.
this.
This system offers thousands of colors and up to 4 layers of scrolling screens, which provide
Okay, here's the
dazzling
thing.
3D graphics.
Nobody who
It
is
also
signing up for
includes
this
digital
job
stereo sound to help bring
probably
new
knows what
excitement
that
to video
means
game
or
play.
cares.
It's like playing in a
If
movie.
they do know what it means, I mean,
system
you're
includes the
probably
control
recruiting
deck,
a 30-some-year-old
high-tech
woman for
controllers,
this who does
the
not
game pack
know a
Super
thing
Mario
about
World,
video
the
games.
AC
They don't know what they're
adapter,
selling.
RF switch, and
Nintendo wasn't
stereo
really
audio
marketing
video
toward
cables.
little kids or
Nintendo's
even
portable
teenagers
video
to sell
game
this
system is
stuff,
Game
which
Boy.
would have been their
It
target
brings the power of the
demographic.
NES to
Oh
the
Lord,
palm
here
of
we
your
go
hand.
now talking about the Game
Game
Boy.
Boy is a unique
Ultimate
portable video
portability.
game system featuring high-quality graphics, sound, and performance. The Game Boy is packaged with stereo headphones, the Game Link allowing up to 2 players to play
See,
at
that's
once,
bullshit because
the
the
Game
damn
Pack
Game
Tetris,
Link was always
and
sold
4
separately
AA
here
batteries
where I was.
that allow you to
We
play up to
never
30
ever
hours.
had the Game Link.
Now let's cover all the NES accessories. In addition to the NES controllers included with every system is the NES Max. The NES Max is a horseshoe-shaped controller.
I never got the chance to play with this, but I always heard it was actually a very good
control
peripheral.
button and 2 turbo buttons. The next NES controller is the NES Advantage. This controller
Now, I did get to play with this one. However, the only thing you really used it for was the turbo controllers. It always just seemed awkward to me playing Super Mario Bros. With a joystick. I mean, I know that's how it was in the arcades, but I'm always used to the D-pads. Even to this day, I really don't like analog sticks. I'm more of a D-pad kind of guy. But more and more video games are going back to it. Now, here's the NES 4 score. A lot of people have this here. And not much to say about it, except for, not for use with the zapper or power pad, huh? Yeah, that always kind of tied you up. I guess it didn't work properly with the linking. Now here comes this NES satellite thing that she's about to talk about next. This was the thing that the Angry Video Game Nerd did a few years back, where you had to put the blocks around the TV and everything to be like a wireless controller. My cousin Charlie had this. The problem is it took batteries. And I don't think he even got it to work. Maybe he'll leave a comment below talking about how he got it to work somehow when I wasn't around.
The Zapper light gun is for use with all NES systems. It is included with the power set as well as the action set. The Zapper light gun is used with games like Duck Hunt and Barker Bill's Trick Shooting.
Whoever played Barker Bill's Trick Shooting?
The NES Power Pad is an interactive mat used to control the character's image on the video screen.
I'm really wishing somebody would do a Fat Tony right now and roll her up in it and throw her off a cliff.
Now let's cover the accessories available for the Game Boy. The first accessory is the rechargeable battery pack and AC adapter. When this is plugged into the wall, it works like an AC adapter.
I have to wonder where they're programming, or where they're running these demos at, because this was never around when I was a kid. I'd walk into a Toys R Us or a Kmart or whatever when I was a kid. You couldn't find this. They never had any of this that is on this table for sale.
And will allow you to carry around the AC adapter. The other carrying case available for the Game Boy is one that attaches to your belt loop. You can put in 4 games.
Yeah, the Game Boy sounds more like a ball and chain at this point. And here's this little 4-player adapter for the Game Boy. Like, you really want to sit around in like a square, like it's some big circle jerk playing Mario. And here are the cleaning kits. They're pretty much telling you that these carts aren't going to work. So either you have to blow in them, and when blowing them doesn't work, you have to beg your parents for $30 to get a cleaning kit. However, if you're a big fan of renting games, these were probably a good idea to have. Oh Lord, here we go with the Nintendo displays.
They should, however, have at least one interactive display or a control deck and TV setup so customers may get hands-on gameplay. If not, please call.
Now the things they're about to show, I never, ever saw in like a Toys R Us or anything.
Hi, I'm Jake Jacobson.
Oh Lord, here's Skippy McBebop here, and he's going to talk to you about the Game Boy. This is actually pretty fascinating stuff, so I'll let his boring ass tell you about it.
2 of these are single-player and dual-player Game Boy countertop units. First, we'll talk about the single-player Game Boy countertop.
Now, one thing about this guy I do want to mention, you can tell he has never, ever, probably even picked up a controller, let alone played a Game Boy or an NES, or even a Super NES. Look at the way he's pushing the buttons there. And he refers to them as oblong buttons. Dude, they're just gray buttons. We don't care. We don't care if these are magenta colored. Who cares? Go play a game.
You press the start button.
Get familiar with your product.
To an option screen. You may need to use your directional keypad and your select keypad for different options on those, and then press start to go on to the next screen. Press start consecutively until you begin the game, and then you utilize your directional keypad for directions, up, down, left, and right, and your A and B buttons for different options.
The sad thing is, this guy's kids could probably demo the product better than he could.
Different game, and you will need to read the directions at the beginning of the game to find out the exact use of these keys.
Kids don't want to read directions, they just want to play the damn game.
3 different keys on it for the different interactive displays. This particular display, the Game Boy Single Interactive that we were just looking at, utilizes one of two different keys. One of them is marked with the number MM101.
MM101, wasn't that the model number for the NES or something?
Either one of those to open the back.
Whenever I used to call the Nintendo Tech Hotline back in the day, they would say the NES model number 101.
And flip the door open.
Somebody leave a comment below and tell me.
To do this, to gain access inside, to change the game pack and adjust the volume of the display. The first thing we're going to do is adjust the volume. That's attained on the left-hand side with this small aluminum shaft sticking out with a rubber grommet on it.
Jesus, big old fancy box, and that's the volume control?
To turn the volume up, and counterclockwise to turn the volume down. Down below here, to change game packs and turn power on and off, your power switch is this little button right here. You flip it to the right to turn your power off, and to the left to turn it back on. You must flip it to the right to turn the power off before removing the game pack. To remove the game pack, press your fingers underneath the game pack, push up, and pull out. That removes the game pack, and you can place a different game pack or the same game pack back in. To replace the game pack, make sure the label
this is how you
facing
change
downward.
cartridges. You just
Insert
pull it
back
out,
into the game
put
pack
the other
slot,
one back in.
push firmly to seat the game pack, and turn your power back on. Now that we've covered the Game Boy Single Countertop Interactive Display, let's move on to the Game Boy Dual Countertop Interactive
Again,
Display.
what stores had these?
Remember,
If
with
anybody
each
has
Game
ever
Boy,
seen
you get
these things, you
a
know, when they were a
video
kid,
cable,
leave a comment
480
below, because I
battery,
remember
the game
walking into
pack,
my
and
Toys
stereo
R Us
headphones.
or my
Stereo
Kmart,
is displayed
they
with
didn't
each one of our
have
Game
this.
Boy
They just
displays,
had
and
a
with the
case
Dual Interactive,
with
you can also
games.
demonstrate
Maybe an
head-to-head
NES sitting out
combat,
behind a
head-to-head
glass
play
case like what we're going to
with
see
the
here in a
video
minute, but
cable,
nothing
which
to
is
that
included
extent,
inside this
actually.
display.
But
To demonstrate
they had
head-to-head
the product there, but they
competition
didn't
using
have
the
these
Game Link
fancy
cables,
cases
you
and
first
cabinets
reset
like what
each
this
Game
guy's
Boy
demoing.
using the 4-key reset.
By the way, up until I watched this, I mean,
Once
because
with
I
the
really
reset,
never
you
had
must
a...
select
I had a
two-player
Game Boy
option
as a
on
kid,
both
but I
Game
really
Boys.
didn't have that much, you
Remember,
know,
you
I didn't
must
play
have
it
the
that much.
same game
I
pack
never knew
in
you could
each
do
of the
start
Game
select
Boys
AB to
do.
restart the damn thing.
The electronics inside the Game Boy dual-wide countertop display are identical to those inside the Game Boy single-wide countertop display. To open the back of the dual-wide countertop display, use key number MM101, turn the key and open the back of the display. Inside of the display, your electronics may be mounted on each side of the display for each Game Boy, or they may be in the bottom of the display, as is the case with this unit here.
In other
On
words,
each
if it's at the
board, you'll
bottom of the
find
display,
aluminum
it's a
shaft
pain
with
in the
rubber grommet
ass.
sticking out of the side for your volume control.
You know, a lot of
Turn
people
the
who
rubber
build their own
grommet clockwise
PCs
and
today are always worried
counterclockwise
about
to adjust your
cable
volume.
management. I don't like my cables
Also inside,
everywhere.
you can access
They would
the
have a
Game
damn
Boy
heart
power
attack if they
switch
saw the inside
and
of
the
this
Game Boy
box.
game pack. Turn the power switch off by pushing to the right. Again, push
It's still
pressure
the same
upward on the game
product.
pack
It's still a
and
Game
pull
Boy. Why
outward
do you have to sit
to
there and
change the
going
game
over
pack.
this over and
To
over and
replace the
over?
game
Oh,
pack,
that's
make
right,
sure
because
your
you're
label is
training a bunch of
facing down.
morons who have never
Push
had
the game
experience
pack
with this
in,
shit before.
squeeze firmly, and push your power switch to the left to turn back on. This is the Game Boy dual-wide floor display, similar to the Game Boy dual-wide countertop display. Some of these units have been modified with video units inside that reflect the images from the screen on the Game Boy so that other customers can view
Ah,
a
that
particular
familiar
player's action.
green and black
This
screen.
unit is also set up utilizing the video link cable so that players may play head-to-head. Remember again, you must have the same game pack in both Game Boys before you can play.
See that big
head-to-head
giant
competition.
Game Boy floor model
To play
behind him?
head-to-head
Yeah, he'll
competition,
get to that, and
reset
that one's
both
actually
Game
kind of
Boys
cool.
using the 4-key reset, select two-player option, and have a ball. To gain access to the electronics inside of the Game Boy dual-wide floor display, utilize your key number MM101. Open the door, being very careful not to drop this on your feet.
$5
Open the
says
door,
this dude's
reach
dropped
up
it on his
inside,
feet a time or two.
and adjust your volume
Wait a minute.
control.
It's
Or
dark in
turn the
there.
game
You're,
pack,
wait,
will
you
need
mean
to
I gotta go
turn
over to
off the
aisle
power
3
of the
over in
Game Boy,
automotive, get one of
pull out
those
the game
floor
pack,
roller
put in your new
boards
game
and
pack,
roll
make sure
up
the
underneath
label
this
is
thing with a
facing down,
flashlight like a
and
car
turn
just to
the
turn the
power back on.
volume up?
Then you can close
Give
the
me
door
a
and you're back
break.
in operation.
Even in the early 90s they were
This
fucked
is the
up.
Game Boy single-player floor display, very similar to the Game Boy single-player countertop display. To gain access to the electronics inside the display, use your MM101 key, place it into the lock at the top center of the unit, open the key, and drop the front panel down. Inside
I will
the
have to
display,
say this
on
is the more
left-hand
practical
side,
out of
you'll find
all
your
of them. You know,
electronic
the
amplifier
whole thing
board.
comes down to
Your
where it's
volume
easy
control is
access.
standing
You ain't gotta
straight
go
up.
get the
Turn that
roller board from
clockwise to
automotive,
increase
and you ain't
volume,
gotta go get a flashlight, and
counterclockwise to decrease
you
the
ain't
volume.
down in a pit of
On the
wires.
back of the
Very
unit,
practical,
on the
Nintendo.
back of the
Why couldn't they
panel,
all be like this?
you'll
And
find your
another thing, they
Game
send out
Boy.
these
To turn the
extensive
game
training
pack, you turn the
videos and
power
training
switch
materials
off,
for you to hand out to these
pull your game
consumers.
pack
Yet
out by
whenever
applying
you
pressure
walk
and
into
lifting up.
store as a kid, and
To
if you
place
were
the new
lucky enough
game
to
pack
see one
back
of these
in,
things, they were probably
press the game
broken.
pack
They
down
never
into the unit.
worked. It
You'll
even
see
happens
your
today with
labels
PlayStation
pointing toward
4
the
and
rear of the
Xbox One
display.
floor models. They're
You press
broken.
firmly
You can't
and turn the
even
power
go in
back
and
on.
try to demo these things because they
This
don't take care
concludes
of them.
the Game Boy interactive displays.
Now, if
This is
you've
the
ever seen
Nintendo Entertainment
Gamester81's
System
YouTube
12-game
channel, you've
selectable
probably seen
display.
him demo this. This is
Using this
actually pretty
display
cool.
is
Only
very
his does
easy.
not have like the fancy
First,
Nintendo
select
case
the
or
game
or even
utilizing
the
the Game
TV, but the
Select switch
base
on
of
the
the
front.
system where the
The ends
controllers
of the
and the
game
games
pack
like he's pointing
are
to
labeled
here,
just
he
inside the
has that.
windows
It's
and
pretty cool
numbered
how
to
this
the
works, and I'll let this
left of
guy here
each
show
game
you,
pack.
however boring
Select
as
the
he may
game,
be, I'll let you show
take
you
your
how it works.
controller and press start. The game will take you through a series of screens to set up the game. Once you started the game, the controller is used as some of the others that we have talked about. And some
Again,
we
you
will
can tell
talk
how
about.
little this guy
The
has as
keypad
far as
is utilized
product
for
knowledge
directional
goes.
movement,
He
up,
doesn't know that
down,
that's your
left,
most
right.
highest selling
The start
NES
and
game
select
ever
are
playing on the
used to
TV
start
right
the
there.
game, and your start can also be used to pause the game at any point. Your A and B buttons are used to move icons up and down, jump around, etc. With this unit, either one player or two players may be used, depending on the game selected. Also, certain games allow use of the orange zapper gun.
Yeah, if
These
you were
games
lucky
will
enough to get
utilize
an
the
orange
left
one. The one I
controller
always
and the
had was
zapper gun
gray.
when used. This display was provided without a monitor to your store. The store provided the monitor. And
Ah,
has
okay, that
information on
explains
how
why
to
the
adjust
monitor was
volume.
always
Please
broken.
check
The
with
thing
your
wasn't
store
sealed
personnel.
up, and the kids always used to
This
mess
is
around with the
Super
volume and the
Nintendo
channels on it.
Entertainment System countertop display. This display actually uses a Super Nintendo Entertainment System in it. The Super Nintendo Entertainment System controller has keys very, very similar to the Nintendo Entertainment
Again, I keep
System
stressing,
and the
who
handheld
had
Game
these
Boy.
things when they were a
You
kid?
have
Like
your
the
control
countertop displays? I
directional
mean, I
pad
guess if you went into like
to
a
move
software,
items
etc.,
left, right,
or
top to bottom.
what do they call
The
it,
start and
electronics
select
boutique
buttons.
back in the day. This
To
is back
begin the
before
game,
GameStop. Maybe
the
even
start
KB
button will
Toys would
also
have one.
present a
But
pause
going
in the
into
middle
a
of the game if
Walmart or
necessary.
Kmart, you know, somewhere,
The A
you
and
like
B
that, Toys
buttons
R Us, you
to
never
pause
saw
items to
these
jump,
things.
move, spin, etc. You also have added for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System an X and Y button and a right and left button on the top. All four of those buttons are programmed specific to each game. You should read the directions either at the beginning of the game on the screen or consult the operator's manual for that game. Next, we'll replace the game pack. To gain access inside of the secure cover, take your LL.
Ooh, now we're up to key number
419.
LL419.
Place
He
it
is the
into the lock on
keymaster.
the
Are you
side.
the gatekeeper?
Turn the lock, which pops up the plastic security cover.
Alright, now I'm not gonna
Flip the
lie, I
cover
think these
forward and
things are kind of
down.
cool. And if I ever get my
Inside,
game room set up
turn the
downstairs
power
in my
off by
home,
sliding the
I would
power
not mind
button
having one of these sitting on
toward
the
the
bar
front of
where
the
you could just,
display.
you know, have a couple of drinks and play
Remove
some
the
video
game pack,
games.
push
Kind of
down
cool
on the
idea right
eject
here.
button, which is located in between the power and the reset buttons. That pops up the game pack. Remove the game pack and then take your new game pack, place into the game pack slot, push down firmly to seat the game pack, turn your power switch back on, close the plexiglass security cover, lock it. Now we'll discuss adjusting the volume on this unit. The volume control is located on the right-hand side of the display, just above the timer block circuit. These little switches set the timing for the display. Your store personnel should handle that. With a small screwdriver, there's a volume adjustment
Wait.
just above
A
that, which is
screwdriver
a small
controls
screw.
the volume of this
Take the
thing?
screwdriver
Damn,
and
they
turn
really
it
didn't want little
clockwise
fuckers messing around
to
with this,
increase
did
the
they?
volume, and counterclockwise to decrease the volume. Next, we'll talk about the Super Nintendo Entertainment System's floor interactive display. This is the Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
Again, not
interactive
gonna
floor
lie,
display.
I would
Very
totally
similar
want
to the
one of
Super
these
Nintendo
things.
Entertainment System
This thing
countertop
just looks
display.
badass.
The electronic housing is identical to the countertop display. You can gain access through the keyhole on the side to flip the plexiglass security cover and do your operations inside. The controllers also work identical to the countertop display. The difference with this, one, the stereo speakers are located above your head here. There's also a bass speaker underneath the secure tray. The other major difference is the sound adjustment, which is inside the right-hand panel. To gain access inside the Super Nintendo Entertainment System floor display, take your LL419 key, locate the lock on the back of the display near the right-hand panel, place your key in that, and unlock the lock.
Only thing I keep
Grasp the
thinking about
panel
this
with
guy
your
is, look at that
fingernails or a small
1980s
screwdriver.
porn star
Open the side of
mustache.
the
Oh
display.
yeah.
Next, we're going to adjust the volume. But before we do that, I'm going to give you two more of those numbers you've been hearing about. And those numbers are 2 and 7. Again, those special numbers are 2 and 7. Now,
Those of you who
to
want the
adjust your
fuck you
volume on
email
this
from me,
display,
that is 2
inside the
and
display,
7.
locate again the switches to set the timing. Right above that, you'll find that small screw head where you take your small screwdriver and turn that small screw head to adjust your volume. Turning clockwise increases the volume, turning counterclockwise decreases the volume. This concludes the Super Nintendo Entertainment System interactive displays. This is the Game Boy Laserdisc interactive display, one of 3
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Laserdisc
Laserdisc?
that allow
Really?
you to show over 40
Fucking
game
awesome.
titles to your customers. Each Laserdisc interactive has 3 lettered keypads and 5 numbered keypads. To select a category on each one of these displays, press a lettered keypad. In this case, we'll try letter A. After selecting your desired category, a menu will appear with 5 different options that you can select from. In this particular case, we have action, fantasy action, adventure, movie action, or strategy. Let's go ahead and select 3, adventure. After making your selection, the display will show you gameplay footage for 1 or more games. To adjust the volume on the unit, take your set of keys and select key number 2007.
Ooh, now we're up to key number
Open the lock on the front of the
2007.
display, which
I
opens
gotta
the
say that the
door.
Laserdisc idea for this is
Goes
pretty
into
damn cool and
television
innovative at
Laserdisc
the time,
player.
because Laserdisc I
To
think
change
was
your
kind of,
volume,
you know,
select your
in its
plus or
either in its
minus
heyday or
volume
just
key
starting
to
off at
raise
that
or
point.
lower
I
the
can't
volume.
remember.
Close
I
the
kind of want a
display and lock
Laserdisc
it.
player, but I'm just too cheap to hunt
If you
one
have any
down.
problems with this display, be sure to call Impart Incorporated at 1-800-875.
Impart Incorporated.
1852.
Nintendo wants nothing to do with this.
This
Oh
is the
lord, here's
second
another one
unit
for
of
the
our
Super
3
Nintendo.
Laserdisc
This
interactive
is actually kind of
displays.
cool
This
again
particular
here. I like the
display
Laserdisc
is
aspect of
utilized
it.
to depict
You know,
the
normally
Super
in
Nintendo
you know
Entertainment System,
retail
the
stores
Nintendo
you'd see
Entertainment
blank
System,
screens,
as
and
well
that,
as
you know,
game
because
titles that
they
are
didn't
featured
push
in the
play on the
Nintendo
video
Power
or didn't want to
magazine.
take the time to
The
rewind it.
operation of this
Well, with
unit
this, it's
is
always
identical
on.
to
It's
the
kind of
other
like how
2
you go
units
into stores
with
nowadays, like a
ABC
Costco, and they have a
125
DVD
number
running all the
buttons.
time.
To
Pretty
select
damn
any one of
neat.
the major categories, press that letter. In this case, we'll press A. Wait a second, and a menu will come up depicting different categories within that main category that you can select from. In this case, say we want to view arcade games, we would select number 4. And this will bring up a segment of gameplay footage for arcade games. Now, again, to change the volume on this unit, just as it is with the other units, take your 2007 key, open the front keypad, flip it down. Your volume controls will be at the bottom of the television set. You can adjust your volume up or down. Once you've adjusted the volume to your satisfaction,
I noticed that they were
close
using
and lock the
Pioneer
front of the
brand
display.
Laserdisc
Many of
players there.
these displays
And
have been
that seems to be
retrofitted
the
with
most
a
common one
backlit
floating
topper
around. I mean, even like
depicting
when
Super
the
Nintendo
video game
Entertainment
nerd did
System
his, the
logo.
angry video game
If your
nerd
store
did
does
his
not
little
have this backlit topper, please call
video on Laserdisc. He had a Pioneer one.
1-800-875-1852. Tell these people who you are, what store you were in. They will dispatch a merchandise route to that store to investigate the situation. This is the third of 3 Laserdisc interactive displays. This display has only been partially modified to show you what the display looks like without the Super Nintendo Entertainment System topper on it. Should you see a display without this topper or with this keypad, be sure to call 1-800-875-1852. This keypad works very similar to the other keypads. The categories are slightly different. Here we have the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Game Boy, and then original Nintendo Entertainment System for the selections A, B, and C. Operation for this keypad is identical to the other keypads. Press a main category by pressing A, B, or C. We'll press A. A menu will appear with 5 different categories of gameplay footage that we can select from. Let's go ahead and select number 2, Fast Action. To change the volume control, once again, select key number 2007.
F-Zero!
Place this into the lock on the door, turn and open the door. Your volume controls are mounted on the bottom of the television inside. Select your volume increase or volume decrease until you have a desired volume setting. close and lock the door again. If your store does not have any of the interactive displays previously discussed, please call 1-800-875-1852. One of our field merchandisers will be dispatched to discuss the situation with your store manager. Thank you.
In other words, we'll get one in there for you. Ooh, selling tips. How to sell, as Kramer would say.
Now that you know all about Nintendo's product line and
Oh,
how to
great.
use
The
the interactive
permed
displays
mullet
in
is
your
back.
store, let's move on to some selling tips. There's 3 things to keep in mind when you're working at your store location. First of all, your primary task as a product demonstrator is to make sure that the customer walks home with a product that fits their exact needs. The second thing that you want to make sure that you do is check the product inventory at your store. Each morning when you come to work, make sure you know the different products, systems, and accessories that are available to you. That way you can recommend the right product for your consumer that day. And third, you want to make sure
us
that
as
in
much
addition to
money as you
systems,
possibly
you also introduce
can.
the consumer to the different accessories as well as game packs available for each of our systems. Talking to consumers can be intimidating. No customer wants to be pushed into a purchase. And we
Nope,
don't
that's
want it
their
to be a
kid's
hard
job.
sell
Their
either.
kid's job is
We
to
would
push
like
you
you
into
to be
buying that
assertive,
game
though.
or
Talk to the
buying that
different
system.
consumers that come
Let
into
the
your
kids do
area.
the selling for you.
Ask them questions to find out what
Always
their
keep a
needs
tray
are.
of cheap
To
cookies and
help
fruit
guide
punch
you
out
through your
there.
talks with
That way the
consumers,
kids could get
we've
all
come up
sugared
with a
up
few
and
different
beg their
questions to
parents
help
for
you along the way.
more.
Begin by asking them what are the features they're looking for in
What
video games,
features?
and then ask
What
them why they
features?
like these features.
As if they
This
had
can
so
help
many
you
appealing
uncover
options back in
unspoken
this
needs
time.
that the consumer may have. Second of all, it's a good idea to ask the consumer how old the game player is going to
Oh,
be.
come on,
and
give
how
me a
many
break.
game
They already
players
got
there
the
may be in
kids
the
strapped to
household.
their hips when they come
If
in the
there's more
store.
than one game
They know
player,
how old
you
the
can
game
offer
players
the
are.
accessory that allows 4-player simultaneous play.
You
And
and
number
me.
3, you want to find
And
out
you and
how
her,
experienced the game player
simultaneous
is.
action,
That way
baby.
you know whether to recommend an NES, a Super NES, or the Game Boy.
Oh, give me a break. You know the kid
Using
wants the
answers
Super
to these
NES. That
questions, you
NES
can
is
guide the
garbage by
consumer
this
to the
point.
product that best fits their needs. Please make sure you use the laminated sheets that are provided in the back of the binder.
Laminated?
This way you don't have to memorize the answers. And the
Wait a
customers
minute, are you
can
saying
see
we're
for
too
themselves
stupid
the
to
product that
memorize
best fits
specs for
them.
an NES?
If you're
Come
not
on,
able
get
to
the
bring
hell
the
out of
customer
here.
to a purchase decision, feel free to hand them one of the brochures provided. The Power of Choice brochure contains information on
Oh
all
Lord, here
3
we go,
systems.
telling them to
It
throw this
also
useless
contains the
paper
consumer
away
service
again.
hotline number,
Nobody
so they
cares
can
about
call
this.
Nintendo Direct if they have any questions when they get home.
Time to bash Sega!
What about the competition?
They have
We here
Sonic
at
the
Nintendo
Hedgehog.
feel our games speak for themselves. We have the highest quality product as well as the best ongoing support. But we
Keep
know that
telling
questions
yourself
still
that there,
come up.
butt knuckle.
As we developed this training program, we spoke to our merchandisers. They're at each of your stores every day, and they talk to a lot of our customers. We thought we'd get a list of the common questions that come up and ask the expert. Joining me today is Tim Dale, part of our Team Nintendo.
Hi, Shelley.
Hi, Tim.
Hi,
I wanted
Shelley.
to ask
How are
Tim
you?
some of the key questions
I'm a
that
virgin,
come up.
and
First of all,
we give
Tim,
out game
what I
tips.
want to know is, why should
Interview
someone
me.
buy the Super NES when the NES is such a good product to begin with?
The Super NES is mostly for the game enthusiast and someone who
Yeah, this is
had
kind of
an
like what
independent
Xbox was saying
entertainment
back when the
system
Xbox One
for
had to
anywhere
be
from 2 to
connected
3
to the
years.
internet and you had to check in
Okay,
every couple
why
of
is
hours.
the Super NES
Glad to
better?
see some things in the gaming industry
This
never
system is
change.
amazing. It's got so many features that make it unique to the 16-bit systems out on the market right now. For instance, it can scale and rotate its images, and it just adds more depth to the gameplay. Its ability to zoom and pan, it's just
F-Zero.
incredible the way that the system can do all these things and makes it so much more lifelike.
I've heard a lot about the sound on the Super NES. What's that?
The sound
You've
is
heard
probably
about
one of
it?
the most amazing
You've
things
heard
on
about
the
it. You
system.
work for the fucking company. You should know
Normally when you play
everything
a
about
video
this
game,
damn
you're used to
thing.
hearing blips and bleeps and most of the electronic noises. With the Super
Bleep,
NES,
bleep,
it has a
bloop,
fully
bloop.
digital stereo sound, an 8-bit processor dedicated just to the sound, and you can have actual voices and realistic sound effects on here. Some of the soundtracks you'll hear on these on the new games coming out for the system are just amazing, orchestrated, and it's just beautiful the way that they go through with the game. It's almost like watching a movie.
Ah, the
You know,
old
Tim, that sounds
1980s,
incredible,
early
but
90s.
$200
It's
is
just
a lot
like
of
playing a movie
Well,
bit.
Shelley, as the 31 million owners of a Nintendo Entertainment System currently know, Nintendo means that you're going to have years of entertainment. It's almost an investment on long-term entertainment. In fact, 93% of the people that currently own an NES are still playing that 5 times a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Probably
you got
because
me
at this
sold
time
on
they
the
couldn't
Super
afford the
NES. Why would I
$200
even
price
consider
tag you
buying
slapped
the
on the
NES?
SNES.
Both of these systems provide different types of entertainment. Someone who is just coming into the field of video games would very much enjoy owning a Nintendo Entertainment System. It's a great system to start on, and if you're an enthusiast and you've played video games for quite a while, you might be looking for the Super NES.
Tim, I know a little bit about your history. You used to be one of the gameplay counselors that helped consumers through those tough spots in the game. Where do they go if they need help now?
There are still 200 game counselors.
Did anybody actually call these guys? I wonder if this phone number that they're here, this 206 number, I wonder if this actually still works.
Monday through
Sorry,
Saturday,
not anymore. We just go on the
12
internet
and
to look
Sunday
for
8
cheat
to 5.
codes.
Great. Thanks,
You
Tim.
are fired and obsolete.
Joining me now is Serena Hennigan. She's also part of the Nintendo team. She will help us answer some of the other difficult questions consumers bring up. Welcome, Serena.
Hi, Sally.
One of the things I want to ask you is, Tim spent a lot of time convincing me that the Super NES is the product of the future. What is your
Product of the
plans
future,
for the
yeah, until we
NES?
go
Are you guys gonna
and get the Wii
discontinue
U
that?
out there and totally fuck everything
we
up.
have 31 million units of our Nintendo Entertainment System out there, 65 million players. And we're going to continue to make games for them, for the people who enjoy playing on that.
Serena, I want to know about repair. How difficult is it to get these systems serviced after you purchase them?
Well, Nintendo has a nationwide network of world-class service centers that are conveniently located in most metropolitan areas that can work on the NES, the Super
See, here's the
NES, and
problem.
Game Boy
If you made a good
Right.
product, you should never
So,
have to
Serena,
have
how
it
many games
repaired.
are available
Therefore, you
for
shouldn't
the
be
NES?
mentioning it.
For the NES, we have over 450 games available at this time.
Wow. I know there's a lot of users for the Game Boy. How many games are available for the Game Boy?
115 right now.
Wow. Okay. Well, I can see where we have two great products, the NES and the Super NES. If both of them are so good and we're planning on keeping them for long term, how come we didn't come out with an adapter?
Well, actually, as I said, we have 31 million units out there, and those people who own those really do have an adapter.
What do you mean?
Well, you can hook them both up together with the same TV without
This
any
really made me
hooking
laugh.
and unhooking and
There's
not a
nothing
lot
I
of
can say about
technology
that. Do you
involved.
hear what she
So that
said?
for those
We already
31
have an
million people
adapter.
and their
It's our
projected
TV. Really?
purchases
Give
of
me
our
a fucking
16-bit,
break, bitch.
Super Nintendo Entertainment System, they can just hook it right up. So those people, for us to put an adapter on there and charge them for that would really be paying for something they don't need. So it's really
You can
saving
tell
them
she's
some
like,
money.
why would you even ask me that question? We're trying to
Okay,
sell
so
more
if that's the case,
systems.
tell me, I want to go back to this Game Boy product that's available. I hear the competition has some really fancy features. Theirs has
Time to
color.
bash
What's yours?
Sega!
Well, for one thing, it's lightweight. Our Game Boy is lightweight. And with color, the batteries last just a few hours, 4 to 6 hours.
Can't really
and ours
disagree with her
last
about
for
this. I
much,
mean,
much
the
longer than
Game Boy
that.
did have a longer
And that's
battery
one of
life
the
than what the
advantages
Game
of
Gear
not
did.
having a color screen is that really, in the long run, it's cheaper.
Okay. Who is one of the recommended users of that Game Boy system?
Well, almost anybody. Little
Kids whose
enjoy
parents
it,
want them to be
women
quiet
love
in the
the Game
car.
Boy. It's portable. It can be taken on trips on planes and trains and boats.
Yeah, take a Game Gear on a boat, it falls in the water. Bye-bye.
Everybody enjoys the Game Boy. Over half of the users on the Game Boy are adults.
Great. Serena, if there was one important message that you could tell me, what is it? What's the most important thing about buying or selecting any video game system?
Sega sucks.
Well, I
The
think
end.
we need to look at the family entertainment. That's the most important thing that I can look at. And Nintendo's totally committed to quality family entertainment.
Okay. Thanks, Serena. All the information that we've provided in these little talks here are on the laminated sheets that were included in the back of your binder. The information is bulleted out on each of those sheets. You don't have to give all the information each time a consumer asks a question, but you can certainly pull those out and reference them and let the consumer read for themselves what's important about each of these questions.
Oh Lord, here come those after-school special, like high school play, role-play gimmicks that they do, where they have a fake customer buying a fake system from a fake representative.
Hi, I've been hearing a lot about this. Can you explain to my mom why it's such a great
Hi, I
system?
can't convince my mom to buy this thing because I'm just a child. Can you tell her why this is so great?
And it has what we call as a 16-bit processor. That means it can process a whole lot of information faster. It has more advanced graphics on it and scaling and rotation. All that means is that you get a lot more depth to gameplay, and it has a lot more realistic games for it.
Well, that's wonderful, but can you explain why the $200 price tag? It seems a little expensive for a game.
Okay, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System offers long-term entertainment value. And what we
Can't
mean
lie
by
about that here. I
let
mean,
me
this
give you
thing
an
did come out
example
in
of
what,
our NES
91?
system. It's
So, I
been
mean,
out
at
for
least that's where
about
this
5
video is
years,
from, so it probably came out in
and it
1990.
is still used
And
by
then
93%
the
of our
system really didn't
customers
fade
5
away until
times a week. Plus, this system, when you
the
purchase it, you get 2 controllers and one
N64
of the
came out.
hottest
So that was
games
about,
in the
what,
Super
5,
Mario
6 years,
series
maybe
called Super
7?
Mario World.
Sounds great.
Why don't you come on over here and take a look at it?
Okay.
This system has about 28 games available for it by January, and then it will also have 45 by next spring. The
You
game
can tell
you're
how
looking
early
at
this
right
was.
now
I mean, they
is
didn't
called
even have that many
F-Zero.
games
It shows
for it
a
here.
lot of the realism that I was talking about. When you play it, it's actually like being in a car. All you need to do is just hold down the B button here and move your control of your car back and forth like that.
And she immediately gets left in
Wow,
the
that's
dust.
great.
Oh, let's go! She crashed. Bitch.
Hi, my oldest son and I are basically looking for a system, but I'm really confused at the choices that are out there, and I was wondering if you could just tell me about the choices I have in game systems.
Sure. I'd like to ask you a couple questions, and then I have a comparison chart that might help us out. You're looking for your son. How old is he?
He's 8.
Okay, and how much gameplay experience does he have?
Well, he's not a real avid game player, but all the kids at school have a Nintendo system.
See, here's the thing. Parents wouldn't
He
know
really
this.
wants one.
We're just
Okay,
sitting in front of
what
the
kind
TV
of
playing the
different
games
games
while the
does he
parents
like,
are
you
in the
know?
damn dining room
likes
getting drunk or
football,
playing
along
Uno
with
or
the
whatever it
other
is they
boys at
did back
home.
in the day.
Okay.
Cocaine,
They
I don't
really
know.
enjoy that.
They
Basically,
don't
all
know this
sports.
much about us.
Okay.
That's
Okay,
why
let's
the
take a look
kids
at
who
this
ran
chart.
that Kid Wrestling
We have to read
Federation
the
up in
systems
Minnesota
available,
back during
the
this time
information
period
given you. It
were
sounds
able to
like
do
the
half the
Nintendo
things they did
Entertainment
because
System
their
might be the
parents
best
didn't
one for
care.
you. This is one that's been out since November of 1985. There's over 430 games available for it and a large selection of sports games. If we look at the different game systems that
Yeah,
are
see,
out
here's the
there,
problem with
sounds
this,
like
okay?
we
If
have
I'm a
a
kid
sports
during
set
this
that might
time and
fit
you
you.
choose to buy me a
It comes with a
Nintendo
dual game
over a
pack,
Super
and both of them are
Nintendo,
sports
I'm
games.
not going to tell
We'll
anybody
talk
that I
about
have
something
this.
like
And I'm going to
this.
think you're a
It
failure
also
as a
comes with a
father.
controller
If people
called
find out that
Satellite,
my
and
dad
that
bought me
allows
an
4
NES
different
over a
players, 4
SNES
kids to
back in
play
the
at
day,
one
they're going to
time.
think I'm
So
nothing
your
but
3
poor,
kids,
white,
as
cheap
well as yourself,
trash.
could sit down and
Thanks,
enjoy a
Dad.
family evening of playing these sports games. So I think that might be the system you're looking for.
And
That
sorry,
definitely
I'm a
sounds like
salesman. I'm looking to sell you the $200 product over the
Wow, that's
$150 one. It's good business.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm looking for a gift for my husband for the holidays.
Okay.
He's a kid at heart. He's always playing the Nintendo Entertainment System. In fact, if he could, he'd take it to work with him.
Okay.
I was thinking of buying another
Girl
game
on the
for
right?
him, but I don't know.
Probably
Just
doesn't
something
dress
for
like this
mine.
every day.
Well, I have a couple
My
games
guess
that you
is
might be
she's a
interested
total
in,
whore.
but I have a system that you might be interested in for him. Have you ever heard of the Nintendo Game Boy?
I might have
No,
heard of it.
no,
Okay,
no,
well,
no.
let's
Sell him
over
to Super
here right now,
Nintendo. He's a
and the
kid at
Game
heart,
Boy
she
system,
said. God, look
allows
at the
you to
makeup
take
on this
a
lady. It
video
looks like she
gameplay
just put it
with
on
you.
with a
It's
paint
portable
roller.
unit.
And I think my
It comes
mother
with
had those
stereo
same
headphones,
Coke bottle looking
and
glasses
it
too.
comes with a game pack
And what's with the
Tetris. There's
blazer?
over
Everybody wore
150
blazers back in the
available for it
early
on the
90s to
market.
late 80s.
Yeah,
Ugh.
well, I noticed that it has a, doesn't look like a colored screen. I know there's another one out on the market that does have a colored screen. What can you tell me about that?
Well, this has a
I
black
can tell you,
and
Sega
white, almost
sucks.
a yellow color screen. It's called an LCD screen. And what that allows is longer gameplay on one set of batteries. The system comes with 4 batteries, and you can get about 30 hours of gameplay with those 4 batteries. Other systems only allow about 4 to 6 hours when you use a color screen. The other thing about the color screen is they're much heavier, so they impact the portability of it. This system would be really nice, fits in a briefcase, would be easy to take to work.
That sounds great.
You want to try it over here?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay, let's take a look.
Hey, wait your turn, lady.
Hi.
Hi. You know, I'm not terribly happy with your company these days.
I'm sorry to hear that. Why?
Well, you know, I've been a loyal consumer for the past 3 years. During that time, I've purchased a number of your products, including controllers, software, cleaning kits. Now, my son tells me that you're coming out with a new system, the 16-bit system, and in that system, I'm not able to play the current games that I have.
That's correct. The technological differences between the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Super
See,
Nintendo
even back in the
Entertainment
day,
System
everybody
is
wanted
comparable
backwards
to
compatibility.
a compact disc player and a cassette player that you might have in your home. A lot of people do. With those systems, they sit side by side, provide hours of entertainment, but technologically they're quite different. You can't take a cassette and put it into your CD player. Nintendo currently has 31 million Nintendo Entertainment Systems installed throughout the United States alone. Because of that, these consumers already have this adapter, so to speak, in their homes. For us to provide an adapter with the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, we would be pushing a product onto the consumer.
You know what they're saying here kind of does make sense. You can't take an 8-bit system, make an adapter for it that makes it into 16-bit. Sega tried this years later with the 32X, and it failed. It failed miserably. Kudos to Nintendo here for taking this approach, I
Super
think.
Nintendo Entertainment System, but the Nintendo Entertainment System and the handheld Game Boy system as well. That's something that Nintendo will continue to work with and work with its licensees on providing support all the way through. Connecting your Super Nintendo or your Nintendo Entertainment System, did you have any problems with that?
You know, come to think of it, it was quite simple.
The Super Nintendo Entertainment System is just as easy to connect. Instructions come with the unit to hook up the Super Nintendo Entertainment System right next to your Nintendo Entertainment System so that both are connected to your television set. If you have any additional questions regarding hookup or the games themselves, you can call our consumer hotline toll-free.
You know this hotline right here, 255-3700, that's been around for years, and I believe it still works.
The only other question that I would have is, where can I pick up one of the Super Nintendo Entertainment Systems?
Sir, you can pick one up right over here.
Hi, can I help you find something from the Game Boy line?
Well, I don't know. I'm on my lunch hour and I don't really have much time. I just wanted to get something for my kids for Christmas.
Okay, how many kids do you have?
I have 3 and we already have 1 Game Boy.
Okay, you might be interested in purchasing a second Game Boy.
You could
There's
so
also
tell those
something
boxes
called a
she's
Game
picking up
Unit
are empty.
that allow 2 of the kids to play together with the game pack that's included Tetris.
Oh, that would be great.
Some other things you might be interested in for the kids would be something like the Game Boy carrying case. It's a hip pouch and it has neon pink on the front of it. It would allow them to carry the Game Boy as well as about 6 different
Yeah, until they
games
drop
inside
it and
the
crack the
package.
screen. Oh wait, we do that today with Android phones.
Okay.
Those would be great stocking stuffers. Why don't
Yeah,
you give me
they're
a
really-
couple of those? Let's have 3.
Okay. And something else you might just want to be aware of, when you have a lot of different games in the Game Boy, a nice item to have around for preventative maintenance is the cleaning kit. You might want to consider that as well.
Okay. Oh, sure, I'll take one.
Okay. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, I think that's it for today. Thanks very much.
You know, I think that's it for today. I just spent my whole paycheck on my lunch hour. Thanks, goodbye!
In case you're wondering, the last 2 numbers are 6, 8. That's
Again, for the fuck you email, that's 68.
Highlight that
Send that to
system.
newsearchlive@yahoo.com, and you'll go along with that code, and you'll get the fuck you email reply.
The 16-bit, the new one?
Yeah, it's the Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
You know, there's another game that I was playing. I forget the name of it, but it's really, really cool. And I don't think it's for the Nintendo.
Well, if it's games you're looking for, Nintendo is definitely the product you'd be interested in. Nintendo has a history of bringing out game hit after game hit.
I really like that one game, though, and I know that it wouldn't work with this system.
Yeah,
Dude's
but you
probably
gotta
been
realize
playing
that
Custer's
one game
Revenge
doesn't
for
make
the
a difference.
Atari.
You want to look at the history of a product and see how many good games that come out for it over time. With our NES product, we had over 430 games, and we're still coming out with more for that system. You can expect the exact same kind of support for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System as well.
Well, that sounds pretty good. I know that the NES is, there's lots of games available for that.
Yeah, some of the games available.
This dude
for
is
the
only
Super
2 minutes
Nintendo
away from
Entertainment
making his
System
move.
include F-Zero,
And by that, I mean
F-Zero,
dragging her out
F-Zero,
into the alley behind the
Some of
store and
other
having
games
his
are
way with
Pilot
her.
Wings and
What a
Super
creep.
Tennis. There's also a really awesome game called ActRaiser that really shows the great stereo sound available with the Super Nintendo.
Gotta admit, ActRaiser was
That's
probably
great.
one of my
Nintendo
favorite
is
games
definitely
for
a
the
good name in
SNES system,
games.
and the sound quality
Yeah,
of
I
it
think
was
I'll take one of
amazing.
those.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Get in the alleyway.
So what happens
Oh,
if
Lord!
you get stuck? What if you need
The
help?
hell?
Well, you may not have Yoshi
That
and
does
Mario
not
standing
look
by
right.
to help you. But at the 1-800 consumer service
That does not
hotline
look right
at
at all.
Nintendo's corporate offices, We
This
have
just speaks
200
for
reps
itself.
waiting to
Mario
answer
looks
any
like he's
question you
raping
may encounter.
Yoshi. Yeah,
These
there you
reps
go.
can
Look at
help
him
you
nod.
understand our product
Yeah.
better,
Oh,
as well
Lord.
as help you relate the different features and
I'm
benefits
sorry.
of the
This is
product
great.
to each of your customers. If you do have any questions,
Now look
please
at
feel
Yoshi.
free
He
to
looks
call
all sad because he's getting butt raped by Mario.
1-855-3700.
Yeah.
At the end of each day, you can call in and get answers to any of those difficult questions you've encountered. Mario and Yoshi will be glad to help you out.
Mario's giving you the thumbs up like your ass is next. Supplies. What do we need here?
If you are missing any items from your original starter kit, or
Then
you
you
need
are
to
shit
reorder
out of luck
supplies at
and
any
you're
time
fired.
during your job
So there it
assignment,
is, guys. The Nintendo training video. I guess if you wanted to be one of their store demonstrators or whatever. That video took a while for me to basically um, voice over a little bit. Those things do take time, as you can tell. I'm wearing a different shirt. My hair is looking better. It is like the next morning of when I recorded that other segment. Um, a couple thoughts about that video is, yes, I know it's the early 90s. It was a different time back then, blah, blah, blah. Um, the video that I stopped it at that certain point because the rest of the video pretty much is just showing you how to fill out your paperwork, what do you need to do if you need more brochures, yada, yada, yada. But the core of the video is basically what I showed you, and it was very long. I mean, training videos, I mean, an hour to sit there and show you how to do that, that's kind of crazy, but those were the times back in the day. And it's interesting to see the dichotomy of how they did not want to mention Sega by name. Of course they wouldn't want to mention Sega by name. It's giving them free publicity, and you don't want to do that. It's good business there. So I kind of liked how they did not mention Sega by name, but at the same time they were, with the Game Boy, they were giving them the old FU. Um, it amazes me how into it they were back in the day and how Nintendo sat there and they took emphasis on this and they tried to hammer this Super Nintendo along with the regular Nintendo. They wanted you to own both of them at the same time, which they were saying 65 million, I think it was in that video, still owned it. And they were like, well, we don't need an adapter. You have an adapter. The TV is the adapter, which would never work today. It would never work today of, oh, you need to upgrade to the PlayStation 2. Well, nobody would ask for an adapter for the PlayStation 3 because it's common knowledge now and commonplace now that you just go and buy a new system when the next old one comes out. But anyway, guys, that's enough for me here. I want to thank you very much for watching. I'm going to have a video coming out later today, or maybe even tomorrow, talking about my job, what it is I do for a living, and how annoying customers can be as far as that job goes. Also going to have a video coming out here pretty soon. Whoa, extra zoom. Going to have a video coming out here pretty soon talking about different number of topics, including soda and all kinds of stuff. We're going to talk about high fructose corn syrup, or how fat it made me, and all this shit. So we're gonna talk about that later on in the week. Happy Memorial Day. It's Memorial Day, okay? Enjoy your day off and get your freak on. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you down the road.